Welcome everybody to the Arctic Circle, the Arctic Digital Youth Online Gathering. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. This gathering is a pre-event for the Arctic Circle Assemble in Reykjavik next week. Together we have with us the youth from all over the world. This is our intention. Our intention is to bring the voices together before we go to Iceland next week. Before we start this meeting, I would like to turn myself to grandmother Loretta. Please, Loretta, if you would like to open us in this circle with a prayer. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Annette. I would like to greet the grandchildren of the world. I want to say thank you to you this day for being active, having the time is of the essence. And it is said, I heard one really well-respected elder say, Dr. Jose Barrero say, the world belongs to those who show up. And so thank you for showing up today. I'm going to be offering a word of prayer so that you are grounded and aligned in just the right way. You already are for where you're at today. And I want to encourage you that we have to rise to the occasion for any eventuality. So we have to be prepared at all times, at all day, all night, whatever the time is and whatever you're doing, you always have to be prepared. Those are the teachings that are handed down to us from generations. We are all in healing mode these days. There are many, many bonding disorders that are across the world, created by colonization machines, created by untoward activities and thoughtlessness. And so putting that aside, I would like to encourage you that throughout the world, we have come to be here because we care about one another and because we hold each other in the highest esteem possible. We always want to be touching your faces. So today, I'm going to just share a little teaching here with you. My mother, Beatrice Long Visitor Holy Dance, one of the Indigenous grandmas of the 13 Indigenous grandmothers, the International Council of Indigenous Grandmothers, said to me one time, she said, make sure that you share what you have, whatever you have with people, and don't hold back. And she said that she was making sacred food, and the food is medicine for all of us. And what she said about it was, she said, the food spoke and it said, whosoever wants to keep me, there is where I will not stay. Whosoever wants to keep giving me away, there is where I will always stay. So you take from that it's a walk for alignment and balance, and that if you have something to offer it with the best of intentions. And if you don't have it, don't feel bad about it, but maybe there's always going to be next time. Be prepared for any eventuality. So with that, I would like to address the Arctic Circle youth and the intentions that you bring to the world today, or from where you're sitting and from where you're at. And I speak my own language a little better than any other language I've ever been access to. So I'm going to take this time right now to offer a short prayer so that everything gets grounded and aligned and you all end up in balance, and that you're going to be the change that we've been looking for, all of you youth. You're the next up, you're the ones coming up, and those of us who are old, we're stepping back now, but know that we have our grandfather and our grandmother's arms around you, and that we are going to be praying for you every day, every minute of your lives. We're holding you there. So as your grandpas and your grandmas, we're here. If you need us, we're always going to be here until we can't be anymore. But for here and now, we're here. So I'm going to reach out. I touch your faces in prayer at this moment. I'm going to ask Creator, I'm going to ask Dakushkoshka, the Creator of all things, and Wopre, the Mother of all things, the law of the females. I'm going to pray and ask for them to give us that blessing that we need so much right now for unity, for reciprocity, for all good things. Ohena hechus eho tungashla dewa khatrgawa pekile nechit ke onkile homni pi nechit ke tungashla waprekile loniksu yabi ona charge uniata bi shka na wo pre the nakamakata kim kaglitan we chosani wo wangla ke washte wo blessing wo kikachni re samkha de khatrga ina lena on kapie wo ki jumpte compassion Gashila lena leon betu ki hechus et unichilapi. Holena gashila heche ola kote chitka hechus unchimpi. O aprekile heche gashila wakrajaya washdishte gashila our grandchildren ni troka bina jimpi ni troka dakwa chimpi. Yung kastowi chati china we chak uktai watching che. In Chile na ni trawa na da dona gashila akiokte. Omniche topic you chati lost to chati lokte. Hey, wables na wo kikachne velana su like that bomb. Kamaye we chati cheko echa ogna gashila lena echa wola kotonji. Makasi dominia mani want to kwakata. Ona chamakona spe okecha zuyat gashila oyampi. We can't gashla henale was new year which hakukte utungashla lena ushia lena ungoni chakapi ushia lena unichi lapi lena heche tungashla just any talking le wa prekile he wo kie we chose ani lena tungashla heches unichi lapi ona wa blesikile tungashla heche eta wo yukcha washteshte tungashla leta tarjata Holena henna hechi dukte. Ichi gashla hechel. Oya de discoya dukte mokasi tomnia ungoyam kilena. Nie el iuha ungoyapi. Nie el iuha gashla hechus ungoni chakapi. Dagonichi lapi na ehani soliapi. Ehani ayables api na uyakupi. Oyu kant gashla na elmo pilam geni chapi. Waprekile na ungoni chakap. Na henna hechi dukte gashla ushil nakapi. Ushun lakapie, ho, mitakuye oyasi, chichapi. All my relations, they were country God, they know Gonichaka.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, Grandmother Loretta. Thank you so much, Grandmother Loretta. Yes, young generations are calling for extraordinary actions right now. And for the leaders, the world leaders, to stop ecocide and unite us all in the understanding of that's what we share. We share one earth, one mother. So we are here today to calling out the youth and also to open up this circle for next week to go to Reykjavik in Iceland. There has been a long walk for most of our elders to this point, and I would love to present Grandma Jyoti, the founder of the fountain and also one of the delegates in the Mother Earth Delegation of United Origin Nations. Grandma, could you please share a little bit of the background and where we are right now and why we go through the north? Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to thank my sister, Loretta Afraid-a-Bear Cook. She's Oglala Sioux, and the language that she's speaking to is that original language. And what's so important that I've come to learn and understand more deeply, and I'm still learning, is that those original languages, when we listen to them and we absorb them and when we receive them, they wash over us like good water, and they're good medicine for us. They help wake us up to the moment we're in. And they help prepare us, and they have the wisdom of those original days. So I just want to thank my sister for that good prayer that she set in motion here so that we could all open to the wisdom of our youth that are coming behind us. You know, these are very prophetic moments that we're in. In 2013, I was called with a small group of people down into Colombia, and the Kogis drew us in, and they said there was prophecy that was about to open, and that for the next 13 years, we would go through a great, great cleansing, and that the ending would fall into the beginning in 2026. And here it is, 2023, about to turn 2024. And as you can see and take a moment to observe, that 13 years, as it's gotten deeper into the cleansing, has gotten more severe. It's challenged us. It's making us look into the mirror of our truth so that we can be humble enough to see what's there that is old and falling down. They said it was most important to watch the ending so we would stay informed, but to stay focused on that which was breaking through. And that which was breaking through would be carried on the original, those individuals and organizations that were embodying the original principles of heart and unity, oneness, compassion, tolerance. All life is sacred. These are some of those original principles. And now it's a moment when we must embody them so that they can open their intelligence inside each one of us and bring us back to an original way of life. So as we've walked with the 4 original peoples out of Colombia now for over a decade, we've gone to them and they have gone into deep concentration and consultation with the mother herself. They've gone into the source that gives life and brings form to life here. And it is through that instruction that they come to us, and then we walk that instruction out. We hold ceremony to show our gratitude for what that teaching has brought us. We go back to them, and the Mother Earth gives us instruction again. And so it has been for over a decade that we have walked this way in the fountain, and it's brought us to you now. Right now, the Kogi, the Kaggabba Nation, has received some of that instruction, and they say it is vital at this point that we come to the north, that they are coming now to the north to open the pillar of life there so that they can reset things and call back the elders of this planet so that we can bring back that original state into being. Never before like this have we been in such a critical moment of choice. And so it's calling us to the north. It's calling us to the wisdom of the youth of the north. As Annette has said, and Grandmother Loretta has walked with me for over 3 decades now, as we've stood up for the Black Hills, as we stood up for sacred territories around this planet, because those sacred territories are like acupuncture points on the earth, and they've all been closed. Things have been put on top of them. Our fences have been built around them so that the original people that have that original instruction with how to care for those sacred territories and to keep them active, they're kept from them. They're not able to feed the earth the way she's asked for that, so that the balance and life can be sustained in a good way for all of this creation, all the diversity of its form. So now the prophecies have prepared us, and now they are instructing us, and that instruction is bringing us into Iceland. The mamos right now are in Greenland. They're there to lay down this prayer there in Greenland, and then will come to join us in Iceland. I think they were planning to be on this call with us tonight, but the wireless system there is a little bit not so supportive sometimes to the need that we're hoping to be on a Zoom call like this. So I know the spirit of who they are and the prayer that they're carrying is strong, and it's behind us right now. As we went into Sweden and we met with many of the Friday movement there, and the youth and the wisdom and the clarity that they carry. When I've stood in the streets of New York City and stood with the youth there, and their voices were loud and they were clear, and they had a direction about where we needed to go. And one of the things that was most prominent in all the places that we have stood with the youth is the need to listen to Mother Earth, to understand that we are a part of something here as she moves herself into her higher place of being. And she would like to bring us with her. Will we get to go? She's going. That's for sure. She's going. We as a human peoples, we are trying to make a choice right now about whether we're going to be able to go in what they call into the new dawn. For you see, when this ending falls into the beginning in 2026, those that are carrying and walking with those original principles are going to be opening the new dawn. We're finishing a 26,000-year cycle for the Mother Earth. If we can look at it as the end of a cycle rather than what went wrong and start pointing fingers and making judgments and making up stories, if we can put all of that down and concentrate on the new dawn that we all carry inside of us right now, or we wouldn't be sitting in a circle like this. We have been called to something very significant, but we must enter it with our hearts. We must enter it through a realm of acceptance and non-judgment. And we must enter it, I'm told by my elders and all those that carry such wisdom, that we must unify. All nations now must come together in a unified motion for this Mother Earth. She needs us, and she is sending the instruction that will help her and assist her in this changing, this turning. They call it the turning time. You see, she's been through, this is her 6th extinction. She's finished such cycles 5 other times. So she knows the turning time. And many of us have come to assist her in this turning time because we've been there to assist her before. So we met with the youth there in Sweden. We went to the 50 plus. We sat with the parliament and we listened to them. And as my sister Loretta said, we told them with strong and very confident and very assured kind of instruction inside of us, we are listening to you, and the arms of the grandmothers and grandfathers are reached around you. We're standing at your back. We're standing with you at your back. And we're listening to how you catch the instruction, because you have the plan that is unfolding even as we speak. So I'm excited to come and join you in Iceland and to get to meet the beautiful territory of Iceland. I've seen some pictures and the amazing mountains and streams and the peoples of this beautiful land. So thank you for allowing me to have just a few moments to say that much to you. And now I'm going to sit back and I'm going to listen.
Thank you so much, Jyoti. Thank you, Grandma. I see that we have Linnea with us right now. I wonder, Carolina, will you do us the honor to make a presentation of Linnea a little bit short? Could you do that, Carolina? You want to start, please?
Sure. Hi, everyone. And so amazing, Linnea, that you're here with us. The first time I met Linnea, it was actually at a blockade protecting forests. So Linnea is an amazing person, activist, a woman coming from Luleå up north, and dedicates so much time and effort in protecting our mother and our earth. So we're really happy, Linnea, that you're here, and to hear some updates from you, what you're experiencing.
Thank you, Carolina. Please go ahead, Linnea. Welcome.
Thank you. So, I live in the north of Sweden right now. I live in Kiruna, which is very far up north. We have already snow, so that's why I'm still in a lot of clothes. So the situation up here is really bad when it comes to the environment, to the climate, the forest. So what we have up here is kind of a green colonization. the north of Sweden have always been a place for the indigenous people of Sweden, the Sápmi, and for decades, the Swedish government have used this area for their own good. And they have been planting mines, they have been cutting our forests, they have built these really big river dams so that the rivers can't flow naturally anymore. So this is very, very sad. And the thing is, it's not getting better. We still have a lot of problems. Actually, we have cut so much forests that just in less than 10 years, if we keep cutting at this rate, we won't have any natural forests anymore. They will be gone. And just the other day, the Swedish government said, yeah, we need to build more mines. And they've recently accepted a new mine just close to where I live, which will be, yeah, it will be a mine that maybe will live for 20 years and the ground will be destroyed forever. And I suppose a lot of you people heard about Gállok, maybe. Anyway, it's a mine near Jokkmokk, where it's a really, really important grazing land for the Sápmis. There are a lot of Sápmi villages that live there and have their grazing areas for their reindeers. It's also a really important place for the biodiversity. I have been there myself doing surveys of the red-listed species there, and there are lots of them. So the situation is that the Swedish government wants to open a mine there, and this mine will leak heavy metals into the nearby river. So it will basically destroy most of the drinking water up here. It will destroy the grazing land for the reindeer herders, for the Sápmis, and for not only one, like the Sápmis are in villages, and not only for one Sápmi village they will destroy the grazing land, but for many. And it's also a really important place for the biodiversity. And it's only, well, the living, the life of that mine is supposed to be 14, 16 years. So that means that 14, 16 years later, they will have destroyed the whole area. And it will just be destroyed forever, kind of. And those natural and, well, this reindeer herding that have been here for thousands of years, and it's just a really environmental friendly way of living. Well, they will destroy that and instead have a mine that will only live for 14 years. It makes no sense. But still, the government wants it. And it's not only Gállok. There are so many others that are, just like, there's a mine here close in Vittangi. There's another one just a couple of kilometers away, also from where I live right now. So, and also a big issue up here is, well, everyone now wants, well, a lot of people are talking about the Green New Deal, the green transition, which sounds great for many people, but in many ways it can also be very bad for the environment, because up here we have built a lot of windmills. Well, it's good, you get green energy, but they also destroy so much forest, so much environment. So, they put up the windmills and they make these huge parks that are multiple hectares big. I think they're actually building the biggest one in Europe up here right now. and they are building it on reindeer grazing lands, so the Sápmis don't like it, and it destroys tons. And it's not only, well, no, they clear cut the forest to build windmills, so the biodiversity goes away. No one wants to live there close to the windmills. And also it's, yeah, so it is really, really bad. Sorry, I don't really know what I'm supposed to talk about. So what do you want to know now? I talked a little bit about what's happening up here.
Thank you so much, Linnea. Thank you so much. Yes, we want to hear your voice. We want to hear what's going on, and we also want to have. I mean, what we're going to do. We're going to the Arctic Circle Assembly next week in Iceland, in Reykjavik, in Iceland, and we also wanted to have our messages with us. So we wanted to meet with you, and as Grandma Jyoti said, we want to listen to you. We want to see how can we be a part, building bridges around it. I also know we have, I'm going to let Halldór in soon, but I also, before we go there, if you can hold on, Linnea, a little bit, we can come back to you. So we have something, we also have Carolina wanted to show up the news from Norway. Is that okay, Linnea? We get back to you.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We are also very touched. Thank you so much for your testimonial. It feels inside of all of us. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Carolina, do you want to take a little bit of a background in Norway?
Yes, sure. But would you like me to do my testimony now as well? Because I was thinking to end with that. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Well, hello, everyone. I'm happy and humble to be in the circle together with you this evening and be able to share some updates from Sweden, just like Linnea, and also just like Linnea, more precisely here from Sápmi, as I'm currently located in Umeå. So we'll share some views and perspectives of what I witnessed from my horizon being here. And my name is Carolina Carlsson. I'm a climate justice activist, and for the past years, I've spent the majority of my time in different positions in what you could call the ecosystem of movements in Sweden, the environmental movement, climate justice movement, and it's been a lot about grassroots movement organizing. I've also been focusing to some extent to artivism due to my background as a dancer. And during 2020, I had my internship with Rebecca Lemoine, and that's where I also got introduced to the Mother Earth Delegation of Original Nations and to the Fountain. And what led me to Rebecca was this interest of mine in the concept of the rights of nature and acknowledging the legal rights of non-human nature and criminalizing ecocide. And today I work at Greenpeace as a campaigner on forest issues, where I, in my role, focus on collaborations and alliances with grassroots movements and indigenous communities. So I'm thinking that that's where I can start off with this update to highlight this mission that we have to protect the crown of our home, of our planet, of our body, also known as the boreal forest belt. Because this is obviously the home of many of our co-species, but I think it's often forgotten that it's this crown, it's this belt that actually stores more carbon dioxide than all of the tropical rainforests around the globe do combined. So to safeguard these ecosystems constituting this crown is crucial in order to avoid the tipping points that risks leading us onto a path where the Earth's climate system and ecosystems are facing collapse. And as you might already be aware of, but unfortunately, as Linnea also stated, I do carry the message that these forests right now are experiencing what you could call the death by 1,000 cuts. as these landscapes are being so fragmented by the forest industry, and that we here in Sweden, we have less than 6% of formally protected productive forest landscapes. We have not even 1% left of the pristine forests, the ones that have never been touched by a human hand. And since 1950s, Sweden has clear-cut around 70%, meaning we have basically conducted ecocide on 70% in this country and replaced those forests with plantations. But due to what I would call propaganda from the forest industry, coming in the form of PR campaigns or even actually manipulated research from scientific institutions, because the industry is so connected to the scientific institutions and so connected to politics that a large part of the population has been, I would also call it, being manipulated into believing that Swedish forestry is actually sustainable, and that, you know, it's so absurd, but that to do these environmental crimes, which is really and truly ecocides, that is also good for the climate, because that's the arguments from the industry, that it's good for the climate, that we can replace the fossil fuel products with the so-called renewable products from wood. And one of the reasons why the population can believe this is, as we know, that people from the dominant culture in Western societies, we've lost the relationship to a large extent to non-human nature. And we have an understanding of ourselves as separate and perceives nature to be a dead object ready to be transformed into financial profit. And since also this has been going on for so long, it's a lot of people here in Sweden who does not know the difference between a planted monoculture and an actual forest. But one of the brightest lights that I see stemming or coming out from this very dark situation, it is truly coming from the people of the indigenous Sámi cultures, who have not forgotten that we are intrinsically linked and in relation with everything that is alive. And here in Sweden, the legal rights to traditional territories of the Sámi people is in practice highly linked and tied to reindeer herding communities. So what we see now it's the representatives of these communities who year after year have to sit in the consultation processes with the forest companies, whose greed for their forest is endless. But lately there has been a lot more outspoken resistance from these communities. And what I've been focusing on in my work and in the collaborations with these communities, it's to ensure the right to free, prior, and informed consent in consultations, because that is currently not being met in a satisfactory way. And we know that the reality that is around forestry, it's also the reality regarding all different forms of colonial extractivism that's currently going on here in Sápmi. Linnea mentioned it too. It's the mining, it's the logging, it's the wind power plants, and it's all happening under this flag of the so-called green transition, the necessary green transition. But as many are pointing out, it is really truly a prolongation of a colonialism that has never ended. And we have this very symbolic fight right now going on in Sweden about Gállok, which we just heard about. And here in mid-September, there was we had the Sámi communities taking the state to court for giving this permission, even though it violates human rights. So the result is expected to come now, and it's going to be really interesting. And we know that if it would be a yes, then we're going to see a lot of resistance. And as you might have heard, the Norwegian state is no better. It's also violating the human rights of the indigenous Sámi culture. And the situation now in Norway is that they are refusing to take down a wind power plant, even though it's been ruled in court that it should be taken down. So it's even been decided in court. So to protest against that the government hasn't acted on this court decision, we have hundreds of Sámi youth right now who are protesting on the streets of Oslo and condemning the acts of the government and demanding that these wind turbines are gonna be taken down. And I'm gonna show you a brief just glimpse of what's going on there right now. And that's also what I would like to end with, that this message that there is a lot of resistance which is rising, both from indigenous peoples, but also from people from the majority culture. We just had a week of action here in Sweden for social and climate justice. That was the framing, where over 100 organizations and groups took action to highlight the planetary emergency and how it's interconnected with social justice. But it's also good to know that here in Sweden, we are facing a right-wing government. Just the last week, it made comments and statements officially that environmental groups are a threat to security, that we are a totalitarian force who is sabotaging the democratic conversation. We have 5 people right now, one of them being my partner, having been in jail for about a month now for a peaceful climate protest. So there is a trend that the democratic space is shrinking, but we also see a trend that more and more people are showing up to defend it. So my intuition is saying that we have only started to scratch the surface of the people power and the resistance that will take place here. Yesterday, we saw that Greta Thunberg, the famous Swedish activist, she got her second conviction for doing civil disobedience by blocking fossil transports. And that was an act done with a very promising youth movement claiming the streets now, who is called Take Back the Future. And my heart is really, truly with the movements, with the Sámi communities, and I will do what I can do in my power for the coming years to safeguard this crown of our home. Thank you. I'll stop my update there. We can go move on and see that clip.
Thank you, Carolina. Majin, yes, thank you.
So that's the new generation.
And such a strong one. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carolina. Thank you, Linnea and Carolina, so much. Oh, okay, so there is a strong message from the Norse grandmas and our old elders around us. We need to bridge over now. And talking about bridging over, Halldór, you are our superstar on Iceland, also our host. You are the co-founder of the Arctic Portal, and Carolina have a lot of data in her talk tonight, and I know you are one of those who collect the data from the Arctic and so on. I would like to introduce you with these words and ask you to both, probably if you can make some kind of reflections from what you see right now from Sweden, Norway, and also if you can tell us a little bit more about the Arctic Circle next week and further about the youth dialogue. Thank you for being with us, Halldór.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you all, and I look a bit grayish, don't I? Anyway, probably my computer or my age, whatever, combination of both. I guess I should be categorized as an elder, right? I have grandchildren. So, you know, both Carolina and Lina, I agree with you. I am compassionate with what you're saying, and I've been to the other north many times. I've slept in a lavabo in Kautokeino in -26, and I have very good friends who live from the reindeer, and I know many of the youth, and I was with them down in Rome last year, and I've been all over Russia and met many of the reindeer herders in and around Russia, and up in Alaska, in Greenland, etc. So I have had the privilege of traveling very widely in the north. I've also been, of course, in my own country, and I'm born and raised in Iceland, and I went abroad to study in Canada, came back, and didn't really mean to stay that long, but I'm still here. Even though I've been working very internationally, I've also been working very locally. So I know this story, you know. I don't know if I'm there to say this, but probably 40 years ago, 40 years ago, I was a very young man, and I was given 15 minutes to speak on the radio. They had something that they called sort of the wise talk of the day, and I was given this privilege at a very young age, and I spoke about the value of the land, and how we needed to put a value to it, because what may look wise today may not be smart tomorrow. Similar to what you just said, Lina, because a mine only lasts maybe 15 years. And when we had there was a discussion some years ago also, which led to well, it wasn't a discussion, it was a decision basically being made on a big hydro plant. And by doing that, they closed off a huge canyon, and I was to that canyon before they closed it off, and you felt Mother Earth in such a way that you just basically went down to your knees, and it was like, whoa. I mean, the power is so enormous, because the water was going through this canyon and the earth was basically rattling. And so I was arguing in my little piece, well, we should put a value to it, because this, if we only look at tourism, it's going to be more valuable than this power plant. And they laughed at me and said, like, come on, I mean, there's no tourists, there's not even a road to this thing. And then I was on this committee about tourism, slightly after, a couple of years after that, and then it was a good group of people. We told them, well, you know, in Iceland in 2015, we could probably be estimating to see as many as 1.5 million people. We had a population of 300,000 at that time. And the tourism at that time was about 400,000, and they laughed. And we introduced it to the parliament. They laughed at us. I was a young man and like, come on, you don't know anything. We had 1.8 million. Now we're up to 2.5, and we're always behind. I mean, because planning, and I have a degree in planning, looking like 25 years down the road is not something that policymakers can do. They're always thinking in like 4-year time slots. And that's their biggest problem, is that long-term thinking is not part of their job. So how can we change that? I mean, the only thing we can do is to try to educate them and educate everybody, because even though I'm talking to Carolina and Lina now, even though the two of you are enlightened, a lot of your peers are not, far from it. I sold my house a few years ago to a young family, and I had planted a lot of trees, and they were very valuable to me. They're all gone. Too much of a hassle to them, and too many leaves falling in the fall, and I just get rid of them. So, I mean, the attitude is not linked to the age of you. It's linked to your background and your education, and how you are basically educated in your environment. And that's what we have to change. We have to really get people to take their blinders off and think, because the world, I mean, I had a seminar last week with some of the smartest people on the globe on auroral physics. And auroral physics basically tells us that we're so small, we are less than tiny in a universal context. And our life, even on Mother Earth, is like tiny. And Mother Earth in the context of the universe is also tiny. So I mean, there's such big forces out there that we have no control over and no knowledge of, or very limited knowledge of, that we really need to change. So back to, I mean, how do we get policymakers to change their opinion? I had the privilege of working along with some good partners, both in Norway and Sweden and Finland, on something called the EU Arctic Information Center some years ago. And we were trying to get the EU to understand that the world is not black or white. There are complications, and we have to think about things from all different angles. And we tried to contribute to an EU Arctic policy. Then, strangely enough, 2 years ago, the new EU Arctic policy was presented by then Michael Mann at the Arctic Circle. He was the Arctic ambassador at the time. And there's a lot of good words in the policy. I mean, it says oil and gas should stay in the ground, and coal should stay in the ground, and we should honor the indigenous people, etc. And we should turn green. And then he was asked, well, if you're going to turn green, where are you going to get those minerals? Well, we were thinking northern Norway, Sweden, and Finland. And then one of the Sápmi leaders stood up and said, sorry, Mr. Mann, you haven't even talked to us. That's our land. And this, in principle, is the problem of today. We don't always communicate. We don't, I don't know if it's not we trust each other. It's just like we don't listen to each other. I think that's the problem. We don't listen. We may talk a lot, but then we don't listen to what the other person says. So it's like these problems just become bigger and bigger. You see it in Ukraine, Russia now. You see it what's happening in Palestine. It's just absolutely terrible. So what can we do? I don't know. We have this big brother complex, and it's getting bigger and bigger. They're listening to you, Carolina. They're listening to you, Linnea. I mean, they're listening to me, and I know that. And but what can we do? I was receiving emails today from colleagues in Russia, because a scholar in the UK is publishing a very high-level article to be introduced at the Arctic Circle about the problems of expert-to-expert and person-to-person communication, and the fact that the Russians were not allowed to speak to the West, which is complete propaganda, because it's the other way around. And you know, Sápmi people know that the Sápmis in Russia, they're not supposed to talk to them. And my good friend, who is the director of the International Center for Reindeer Husbandry, got a phone call from his bosses to tell him, you don't speak to Russians. So, I mean, we are just building these walls as we go, making the world more complicated. I don't know why. I think there must be a hidden agenda that we don't always realize. But how do we turn this around? Again, I think it's by increasing knowledge, by increased communication. So I'm very happy that the delegation is coming to the Arctic Circle, because the Arctic Circle is a gathering of probably this year 3,000 respected people from around the world, actually. Many of them Arctic leaders. There's, I think, 7 environmental ministers coming actually to the show this year. It's a bit of a show. And there's the president of the COP28. He's coming, and we might have an opportunity to speak to him personally, as far as I know. And then, yes, we're going to get the Kogi mamas into the panel, and they're going to be able to speak to probably most of the people at one time, which of course is, to be honest, more than I expected. So make a long story short, the best way, and in my opinion, the only way to make changes is that we communicate and we increase our knowledge. We should not underestimate science. We at the same time, we have to make sure that the science is interpreted in the right way. That's the problem with science. You can always often interpret the results in many different ways. But then our mission is to gather enough resources and gather enough partners to communicate it in the way that it should be communicated. And that's where I've been trying to work for the last decades, is to be non-biased and providing the information in that format. So I'll stop there. It's been fun to listen so far, and I think it's going to be even more interesting to follow up. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Halldór. Thank you. And yes, about bridging over, we have about 9 minutes left from this call today, and some of us going to meet in Reykjavik on Iceland next week. And we're also looking for do press conference online, and we're also looking for make another online call like this. So we hope that everyone will be with us on the journey. I think that I want to go around the Jyoti. Do you want to say something, please, Rama?
I do. What's been coming up for me is a little video with some of the Mother Earth delegates and some of the wisdom keepers that I've walked with as we've walked with Minnie and listened to the youth. And it's about a little over 4 minutes. Could I share that video? Because I think it captures kind of the heart of, are we listening? Is that all right? Margine has it ready for us, if you agree.
Thank you, Grandma. Please go ahead.
Hey, Margine, I just want to share this as the heartbeat of something I think we all are holding together, and the variation of how we will speak about it. Our original people will bring their wisdom and their language and a way of life that addresses this from a very different perspective than the West. But we must create a bridge that's going to allow us to dialogue and to find good solution. That's my prayer. So Margine, if you'd show this little video, maybe it will have a way of capturing some of the heart of what these young people have been sharing with us tonight. And thank you, Halldór, for what you're bringing together there, because you're making a bridge. Thank you. Can't hear it. No sound. Margine, there it is. Mm-hmm.
Gratitude for this opportunity to be here in this incarnation upon this planet. Gratitude to the gift of life we've been given, to all our ancestors lined up behind us. We are the reality of their dreaming.
Let us come together in one mind, as one heart and one body. Ay ay. Hatunga po kamba usa tami manyani. Sumagiyaita sumakshongutan yukanchik takui.
My name is Jyoti. I'm one of the wisdom keepers. An amazing circle of beings that have come from all different parts of the world because we were called here. Our First Nation peoples have a way of life that is sacred and has been given to them by this Mother Earth and Father Sky, and it is the remedy of this time. That I am sure of.
Personas que viven con la nueva tecnología es que están muy separados de la naturaleza. Hace que no puedan tener ese viaje con el corazón, la mente y el espíritu.
それを教えていたのが先住民族であり、長老たちであり、シャーマンたちでした。本当にその意味を知ってる人たちがもう隠れていないでもっと表に出てきた。
Our mother is crying. She's literally crying to her children for help.
The message that she brings today is, are you listening?
Allow yourself to feel. La contaminación de los ríos, la contaminación de los océanos, el fuego en la Amazonía. Los desastres naturales están viniendo. ¿Cómo es posible? La gente no puede sentir o ver eso.
We are listening. You have called us to wake up in this time. Help us stay strong so we can march forward now on a planet with one heart.
We're able to feel through direct experience what it's like to come together like our ancestors once came together, to reflect, to pray, to listen. Es por eso los indígenas estamos viajando a muchos lugares para poder ayudar, para que la gente pueda conectarse con la naturaleza y especialmente con su corazón.
Thank you. I think this is it's summing up everything where we are right now. So thank you so much, each and everyone on this call. Thank you so much, everybody on YouTube, Facebook, online. Thank you so much for keep on walking together. And please reach out for us. Going to Iceland, to Reykjavik next week, to the Arctic Circle Assembly. Please reach out for us if you have any thoughts, any messages, and stay tuned. See you probably next week already. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.